Hi, this is Kevin Baumer, Deputy Director of the Colorado Municipal League. It's April 20th, 2018, which means there are now 19 days left in the legislative session. Not that any of us are counting, but there are still a number of significant issues left to deal with at the Statehouse, many of them affecting municipalities. You'll hear from my colleagues in a couple of minutes, and I just want to talk about a few issues that I'm covering. And as always, you'll be able to link to see what other issues that CML is following. Let me just talk about beer and liquor legislation real quick. Senate Bill 197 in the 2016 session is widely acknowledged to have changed the landscape of beer and liquor forever by allowing liquor licensed drugstores the ability to sell beer, wine, and spirits under certain circumstances. And most significantly, at least in 2018, is that on 1/1/19, fermented malt beverage licensees, such as convenience stores, grocery stores, etc., will be able to sell full-strength beer or anything else that qualifies as a malt liquor, just by a simple definition change that is in Senate Bill 197. What that means is a significant impact on the retail market. There are folks that realize that after the fact and have been trying to change 197 in the years since 2016. CML identified one critical issue important to municipalities in this, and that is the distance restrictions that apply to every other liquor license, but not to fermented malt beverage licenses, as far as licenses and their distances from schools. We've asked to have that dealt with in a bill that was introduced, Senate Bill 243. I've talked about it before early on in the session when it was a draft. It was finally introduced. I'm referring to it as a alcohol beverage omnibus bill because it's got a lot of things in it. It does have language that CML requested, but we're afraid that the bill may not make it all the way through because of some very controversial sections. And therefore, we're also pursuing a late bill, which has not yet been approved, to just deal with the 500-foot distance restriction. Like every other liquor license, municipalities would be allowed to reduce or eliminate that distance from schools and other types of similar institutions as defined in the statute. But we don't have that bill approved or introduced yet, and as mentioned, there are only 19 days left in the session. We think we'll be able to get it, but stay tuned on that. Switching gears, we haven't been able or haven't had to talk about it the entire year, thankfully, but there is an urban renewal bill coming in here at the end of the session. That's Senate Bill 248. And unlike years past where we've had to have legislation cleaning up significant problems created by House Bill 1348 in 2015, this is dealing with a narrow issue that the assessors have raised as it relates to tax increases adopted after an urban renewal plan has gone into effect, or how de-bruised revenue factors in. County assessors are having a difficult time in figuring out the correct amount to reimburse to various taxing entities. And so Senate Bill 248, which is supported by the League and Colorado counties and the county assessors, will simplify that mechanism and keep those decisions at the local level. Last but not least, I want to talk about developments in Public Employees Retirement Association, payroll reform, Senate Bill 200. The bill passed the Senate. It was significantly amended by the House Finance Committee. It'll be debated, we believe, on the House floor on this coming Tuesday, and that is going to be fairly significant. Leadership in the House has indicated that they want to have an amended version of the bill that can still pass the House, but that will get Senate concurrence without having to go to a conference committee. We got some good stuff in there as it relates to our 27 member municipalities in the local government division, and we believe that will stick if the rest of the bill can get all the way through.
Hello, this is Diane Criswell, CML Legislative Counsel, and I've got 4 bills to tell you about this week. The first is House Bill 1128, and that is the data breach notification bill. It came out of House Appropriations and was amended on the floor last night on the 19th of April. They made some technical changes that really kind of were more on the private entity side, but did soften a little bit the notification time period for both private and public employers. That notification out to the people whose data has been breached has a little qualifier to say if there are law enforcement or kind of fixed considerations that those can be taken into account when notifying folks that their data has been breached. So the bill passed the House on third reading this morning and is headed over to the Senate. and CML is neutral on the bill. The second bill is Senate Bill 247. I believe I talked to you guys about that last week because it just dropped. And that is a bill sponsored by Senator Gardner that would provide permissive authority and kind of a program for law enforcement employers to do contributions into a fund managed at the state treasurer's office to provide 1-year extended health benefit to survivors of peace officers that die in the line of duty. So I just note that I don't know of any specific instances, but there probably are times when there is a line of duty death where the public employer on its own accord decides to extend those benefits. It's not a portion of a pension benefit that exists through FPPA. They kind of focus on pensions, not really survivor medical benefits. So we'll see where that bill goes. Our current position on that bill is neutral. The third bill is 1234. This is still in House, is in the Senate right now, and this is the bill that clarifies exactly what is gambling, because we've had some activities kind of spring up that are outside those historic gambling towns that use the revenue to support kind of historic preservation of those communities. So it didn't appear on the official schedule this morning, but I've heard through the grapevine that it may be up on the 30th of April in the Senate Business Committee. So kind of keep your eyes peeled. We've got some folks that have been watching that. Those are the communities where some of these activities have kind of sprung up. The last bill is a new bill that was introduced yesterday, House Bill 1404. So for those of you who participate in Municipal caucus or some of the other conversations that we have here with our members of the League, we've been hearing and participating in some conversations around making internal affairs investigations of peace officers subject to CORA. So the proponents would like the files to be available upon request to the public with an understanding that there's likely some redactions necessary. I think our members have specific concerns. We, of course, have members that are both employees and employers, and in both of those kind of groups, there's significant concerns about officer safety, officer recruitment and retention, and other important legal and policy considerations about releasing the entire file. I'd note that we do have some members who produce a summary. Likely that may be something that folks are producing anyway in order to kind of close an investigation. That may be an opportunity to take a look at, and I know that some of you might be considering that on a municipality by municipality basis. However, things are moving so quickly, it's kind of hard to know whether or not there's anything other than the bill is introduced that will satisfy the sponsors and the proponents. So kind of keep engaged. We'll be watching that closely.
Hi, this is Morgan Cullen with the Colorado Municipal League, and this was another big, busy week down at the Colorado General Assembly. 2 bills that fell under my purview were up this week. The first bill was Senate Bill 192, which was it would hold local governments liable for fracking bans or any kind of oil and gas moratorium within their political subdivision. This is a bill that we've consistently opposed every year, and we actually opposed it earlier this session when it was House Bill 1150. But that bill went to State Affairs. We testified against the bill, and it died 6-3. The other bill was up yesterday in the Senate Ag Committee. This was House Bill 1157 that would increase oil and gas reporting requirements for any kind of public safety incident or accident that occurs at an oil and gas site. that information would have to be properly disclosed to the COGCC and available for the public, for the media, and for local governments. CML supported this bill because we felt like it would help local governments, specifically first responders that are likely the first ones that are going to be called to the scene. It would give them an opportunity to learn more about the types of incidents that are happening and properly prepare. That bill unfortunately died party line in Senate Ag yesterday, but it was good to get the conversation started. Finally, Senate Bill 1. There hasn't been a whole lot of going on in transportation in recent weeks, but that doesn't mean that things and negotiations haven't been occurring behind the scenes. But I think we're going to start to see some movement next week. Senate Bill 1 could be heard in the House Transportation Committee as early as this Wednesday. And CML is neutral on the bill as it is right now, but we would like to see a statewide solution to transportation infrastructure funding, and that includes local share backs to both cities and counties. So we will continue to keep you posted on this. It's going to be a very wild ride on the transportation front going into the final 2 weeks of session. And we will keep you apprised of what is happening.
Hi, this is Megan Dollar here at the Colorado Municipal League. I want to talk about a couple of bills right off the bat. House Bill 1089 was heard, that is the bail and bond reform bill. That was heard in Senate State Affairs of Monday of this week, and as expected, that bill was defeated. Another bill that's coming up early next week is House Bill 1353, which is CML's grant program for municipal courts. That bill will be heard on Monday in House Appropriations, where we expect the funding for municipal courts to be attached. Another support bill that I want to talk about was House Bill 1292. That was also heard on the House floor in Appropriations and on the House floor this week. What that bill does is create a pilot program within the Department of Local Affairs to get grant money to local governments, public safety, social services, and nonprofits with the end goal of getting persons experiencing homelessness to services. CML is in support of this legislation because we are always looking for resources to be able to get our homeless population more services and get them housed as soon as possible. On the opposed bill side, House Bill 1406 was just introduced today. What that bill does is take away the ability for the Department of Revenue to cancel or suspend licenses for a person that has an outstanding judgment warrant on their record in certain circumstances. Those include failure to pay a fine or failure to appear in court. That does include municipal courts, and then outstanding judgment warrants is actually a very significant tool that we use in municipal courts, and we have great concerns with losing that tool, so we are opposed to 1406.
That's it for this week. As mentioned, there's only 19 days left. If you're planning on viewing future CML Video Statehouse reports, if you're putting them in your calendar, we'll definitely have one on Friday, April 27th and Friday, May 4th. And then we'll do a wrap-up after the legislative session concludes, probably not on Friday, May 11th, as we expect we'll have a couple days off, but as soon as possible the week following. As always, you can check in on all the bills that we're following, support and opposed bills, in the links provided in the email that belongs to this video.